Hello everyone and welcome to this new video. I'm Umbra and today we will make a new tier list considering all the change in the discovery we made in the last few months. This way you will be able to know which are the best commanders to invest in the current meta. First and start with the tier list, what I wanna say you is if you are a new player or a free to play, the way for play is play good faction for you. Because right now the meta is unbalanced in favor of the good faction, so if you wanna have success and you cannot invest nothing in the game, you're gonna have an easiest way if you play good faction or at least NRP. That doesn't mean you cannot play evil faction, of course I also play evil faction and I enjoy a lot. Only means if you wanna play evil faction you're gonna have to suffer a bit more. First commander I wanna talking about is ADUNAE, a commander that can deal physical damage or elemental damage, is a damage dealer 100%, but have not a great damage output and also not a great unique. For this reason I don't suggest to invest on them. For me she's just a C tier commander. Then we talk another physical damage dealer of the evil faction, we talk about AGZOK, that have a solid amount of damage, in particular if you can invest a lot on them. The unique is not great and reach high level of respect on them it's very hard, but if you can do that it's solid. For this reason I'm gonna place AGZOK in a A tier. Then it's time to talk about ARAGORN, King of the Men, a commander that is a damage dealer but also a support for your team. In fact ARAGORN, King of the Men have a lot of damage, physical damage, and also have an R5 that reduce all the damage you receive when you succumb to madness or stun, and that is very strong in a meta where Sauron is one of the commander must used. For this reason I'm gonna place ARAGORN, King of the Men in a S tier. Then ARAGORN the second, that have similar skill in terms of damage dealing as ARAGORN, King of the Men, but didn't have any support buff and don't deal the same damage because they have less statistic, so have a lot less effectiveness in your team, and for this reason I'm gonna place them on a B tier. Then we talk about ARWEN, and in my opinion have almost nothing to bring off the meta, can be useful maybe if you use that in PvE, of course, because they have healing, but on PvP have nothing special for choose to play them. Just cause of the PvE function I will say I'm gonna place that on a D tier. Then we talk about AZRU, a commander that excel on dealing damage with his troop. It's pretty rare that a commander like them work on the current meta, cause right now only the damage dealer commander based on skill damage work, but AZRU with the correct gear and the correct troop can deal a lot of damage. For this reason I'm gonna place AZRU in the A tier close to AGZOK. Next commander of the list is BALIN, a dwarf commander of the good faction. In my opinion BALIN can be used only as a tank cause the important part of his kit is just heal themselves. The problem of that is the healing work only on the small unit, and there's no unit with taunt on provoke, so it's a big limitation for BALIN that won't receive damage. So he's a tank, yes, but don't have a unit that can synergize with healing and also protect the allied, and for this reason I'm gonna place them in a C tier. The next commander we're gonna talking about is Bard. He's a damage dealer but is also a support. Don't excel in nothing but deals different things. You need a lot of respect on them for work really well, and even at maximum level you never gonna have an insane damage from them. For this reason I'm gonna place Bard on a B tier. Then we talk about BEORN, a commander that excel on dealing physical damage. It's very strong at respect 5, it's very strong at respect 10, it's very strong at Zenith 6, so have a complete kit that excel in every kind of level. The damage of BEORN is just insane and increase as much investment you made on them, and for this reason I'm gonna place BEORN on a S+ tier. The next commander is BERUTHIEL, that excel on support Evilman unit. She have decent buff for your formation and also good debuff for the enemy. The problem is just like I said, in the current meta troop army doesn't work pretty well, with also the limitation that she work only with Evilman. For this reason I choose to place BERUTHIEL on a C tier. Then we have another buffer commander, Black Serpent. He increased the attack of all the formation in the early round, increased the defense for all the battle of 3 formation, and also deals a bit of fire damage. As always the problem is just the attack for the troop is not a prime bonus right now cause the troop have not a lot of damage, but Black Serpent is still one of the best in terms of troop support, and for this reason I'm gonna place them on a B tier. Then we talk about BOROMIR, a commander that that won't be a tank and also a support, but don't do for real nothing. For this reason I want to place BOROMIR on a D tier. It's not F just cause of evasion, and R5 can be good if you play with Swan Knight. Then we have CELEBORN, another commander that dedicated to buff elves troop in your formations that don't make them very strong, and in my opinion it's worth to play them only if you play a full elf formation with GILGALAD, ELROND, CELEBORN and stuff like that. Just cause there's one way to play them, I wanna place that not in F but in D tier. Next commander I'm gonna talking about is CESTARO, a commander of the Evil faction that excel on this focus damage. You have a very strong kit and also very strong unique, and this potential of damage is insane, and for this reason I want to place CESTARO in a S tier. The next commander of the list is CIRDAN, an healer of the good faction. The only things he can do is heal. If you really wail that, the heal can be a factor. It's not suggest to run them a low level, you need a lot of respect for make them work, and in general I think he deserves to be on the top of the B tier, close to the A tier. Then we talk about DAIN, another physical damage dealer commander of the good faction that have an insane amount of damage. As for BEORN, as much you invest on DAIN, as much damage you're gonna bring on the field. Also on DAIN you have the unique, very strong, that increase your damage dealt. In terms only of pure damage, I can say BEORN is a bit better than DAIN in a top level, but also DAIN is insanely strong, and for this reason I'm gonna place DAIN in the second place of the S+ tier. There's almost no difference in terms of value between BEORN and DAIN. Then we talk about DENETHOR, a commander that have almost nothing right now for big play on a PvP team, and for this reason I'm gonna place DENETHOR on a F tier. The next commander of the list is another physical damage dealer of the good faction that is a T1 and is very strong at low level of respect, so it's highly suggest for all the free to play, have a very solid damage and synergize very good with dwarf team. For this reason I'm gonna place DWALIN on a A tier, just a bit under AGZOK. Then we talk about ELLADAN and ELROHIR at the same time cause are pretty similar. In my opinion, if you want to invest on them you're just crazy, cause in a good faction you have a lot of damage dealer commander, and also the support skill they have are pointless when you have some of the best support of the entire game. So there's not a single reason for invest on them, and for this reason I'm gonna place ELLADAN and ELROHIR in F tier. The next commander is ELROND, can be a tank, can be a debuffer, can be a damage dealer for the troops, so can do a lot of things on your army, not excel in nothing in particular, but in a correct army can be a factor. For this reason I'm gonna place ELROND in the top of the B tier. Now we talk about EOMER, another physical damage dealer commander of the good faction. You have a very great kit of skill for doing damage and also a great unique for increase that, and for this reason I think EOMER deserves to be in the top of DWALIN on a A tier. Next commander is EOWYN, a commander that won't be a support, can heal, can also increase the defense of your formations, and have 2 skill for doing damage, but it's not a commander that you want for doing damage. Overall I don't think EOWYN is a bad support, but I think there's too much choice better than EOWYN in a good faction. For this reason I want to place EOWYN on the top of the D tier. Then we talk about FALGIN, a commander tier 2 of the good faction. He's probably the best tank of the game and at the same time one of the top 2 supporter of the game. The amount of utility of this dwarf is absolutely insane, and the best part is just as much you invest on them, as much value you're gonna have from them. Also the unique is insane, make them very tanky. For this reason I feel pretty confident to place FALGIN on a S+ tier in 3rd position. Then we have FARAMIR, a commander of the good faction that is an hybrid between support commander and damage dealer. Considering all the good choice you have for the good faction, if you play FARAMIR you're probably trolling. FARAMIR in my opinion is just an F tier commander. Then we talk about FRODO and Sam, a commander that excel on be the tank of your formations, at the same level of FALGIN on the troll but cheapest. The problem of FRODO and Sam is just he only protect themselves, and if don't have any unit with Tauntaun protection are almost useless. So it's situational, in the best scenario only provide protection with the correct troop in the first 3 rounds. For this reason I'm gonna place FRODO and Sam on a top of the A tier. Now is the time to talk about GALADRIEL, a commander that can provide focus damage and also healing for your formations. He's an hybrid commander of course, so don't excel on focus damage, with also the unique is one of the best healer of the game, and have also CC and utility for your team. For this reason I choose to place GALADRIEL on a top of the A tier. The next commander of the list is GANDALF the Grey, a commander you absolutely want for his R3 skill, the white console, one of the best skill of the current meta, but in a top of that you have only 3 skill on the average, nothing special. So considering the other option you have on the good faction as a support, Gandalf the Grey is just a B tier commander, on a top of the B tier of course, cause white council is strong, but only B tier. Instead, if we talk about Gandalf the White, we talk about one of the best support of the game, cause not only have white council but also have white rider, a skill that increases the damage you dealt in the first 4 rounds, and in the top of that Gandalf the White have also a very strong amount of damage. In particular with the unique you can have a very good hybrid commander that is one of the best support of the game and also a pretty decent damage dealer. For this reason I'm gonna place Gandalf the White on a S+ tier. Then the next commander of the list is Gil-galad, a commander that excel on leading elves. I see a lot of people disrespect Gil-galad and say he's not strong like in the past, but for me everyone say that probably don't fight versus proper Gil-galad, because right now Gil-galad is very strong. The capability of division for all your elf troops is absolutely insane as a support skill. In the first 3 rounds you can remove all the damage you receive. Then we can talk also about the damage capability of Gil-galad that is also insane. With the R3 I see a lot of Gil-galad hit over 150k with proper army. So it's not only a great support but also a great damage dealer with troops, one of the only that's work. For this reason I feel pretty confident to place Gil-galad on a S+ tier. Then we have Gimli, another physical damage dealer of the good faction of course, that have an insane amount of physical damage. The only difference between DAIN and Gimli is just Gimli need more respect for start working, but in terms of final damage at high level of respect are pretty similar, so if you invest on Gimli you sure have one of the best damage dealer of the game. So I also think Gimli deserve the S+, not at the same level of DAIN just cause you need a lot more investment for bring Gimli to that level. And now the series of the F tier, we have GLASHA, absolutely F tier cause the number of the debuff are too low. Gorbag, absolutely F tier cause F buff for the troop but is irrelevant. Gottmog, another commander that go in a F tier cause he's a buffer but don't have a really good buff. The only things you can do with Gottmog is just siege. Grima, a commander that FCC but very low percentage. The R5 have only 10% of stun, it's irrelevant. Grishnak, a commander that FCC and also some buff but is minimal, not important in the current meta. Aldir, a commander that have a little of damage dealing but is irrelevant when you have a lot of commander on a good faction and deals more damage than them. Irgon, like Aldir, deals damage but not enough for be used on a good faction. IMRAHIL, a commander that is not enough tank for be a tank, is not enough support for be a support, is just useless. Now we talk about Isildur, a commander that someone who's as a tank, someone who's like a damage dealer focus on troops, but in my opinion in particular cause he's part of the good faction there's no way for place that in a high part of the tier list, and for this reason I'm gonna place them on a C tier. Then we have Khaldun, a commander that if you rank that as damage dealer is F, but if you rank as support is D. Can provide damage reduction, defense and debuff on the enemy and also burn a lot of stack of white council that is really important for the evil faction. Is not a prime choice but at least deserve to stay on a D tier. Then we talk about Khamul, a Nazgul that won't inflict focus damage, you have a lot of bursts in the early game, can elude the white council if it's fast enough. Overall the total damage is okay, not fantastic, not bad, and for this reason I'm gonna place them on a bottom of the B tier. Then next commander is King of the Dead, a commander that don't have really great damage, don't have really great buff, and for this reason is considered an F tier commander. Then we talk about Kirun, a commander that excel on deal CC and debuff. This commander need a lot of respect and also equipment for start to be okay, never become an S tier commander in my opinion even if you invest all on them, and for this reason I suggest only to invest on them if you are a Kraken or a Whale. So my rank for Kirun is just the bottom of the B tier. Then Lotr, a commander of the evil faction that inflicts physical damage, it's good for taking tile at low level and mid level, but is absolutely not recommended on PvP. For this reason I want to place Lotr on a D tier. Then Legolas, a damage dealer commander of the good faction that have a decent damage, in particular if you unlock the unique and you refine that, but not enough damage for be considered a good damage dealer in general. For this reason I want to place Legolas in a C tier. Then we have Lurtz, a physical damage dealer of the evil faction. In terms only of raw damage, Lurtz is the best physical damage dealer of the evil faction. For reach reach the maximum power of Lurz, you need the unique fully refined that increase a lot the damage you deal, and if you are on the evil faction, this is probably the unique where you want to invest all your mithril. Lurz with this damage deserve to be the rank 1 of the S tier. Then again, 3 very bad commander. We have Maltok that is completely useless, we have Merry and Pippin that can be useful but not in the current meta, you have too much on the good faction side, and then the Maw of Sauron that is completely unusable. Now is the time to talk about Oglurg. In my opinion can be a decent tank cause buff a lot the defense of the troll have taunt, so it's okay as a tank. Can be also a damage dealer, but it's not recommended run as a damage dealer. In my opinion is a good commander for a second formation, and for this reason I want to place on a bottom of the B tier. Then again, 2 more useless commander. We have Ori on the F tier, completely useless, and also Kurvan, completely useless, probably the worst commander of the game. Now we talk about Radagast. In terms of number is the best healer of the game. The only problem with this kit is just the healing he have is burst healing, and in the current meta if you play Falgin, Gandalf the White or Gil-galad, you're gonna receive for sure low amount of damage in the first 3 rounds, so you don't gonna receive enough damage for use all the healing of Radagast. Even considering that is a commander that deserves to be on a A tier, even if he's countered by the meta, can be a very strong factor in terms of healing for your team. Next commander of the list is Saruman, a focus damage dealer of the evil faction. Just in terms of damage is probably one of the best of the evil faction, but for this amount of damage you need the unique fully refined. It's also a very good support cause increase attack, defense and initiative of 3 allied formation, so bring also utility, and have 1 madness CC that proc every 2 rounds, so it's a very complete commander. For this reason I consider Saruman the alternative of Lurz in terms of focus damage on a top of the S. The next commander of the list is Sauron, the best support of the evil faction, there's no competition for them. He increase all the damage received from the enemy, have the chance to stall buff, he bring a lot of CC on the battle for stop the enemy commander and also reduce the stat of the enemy commanders. You have a full kit just for be a support CC, so Sauron for me is the first commander deserve to be part of the S+. Now we have 2 commander in a row in F tier. We have Shagrat, completely useless, and Sharku that is useful if you play PvE but not enough for be considered a member of the D tier. Then we have Skalelm, an elemental damage dealer commander of the evil faction. She have a lot of skill for dealing damage over time, so in a long term fight, and she have also a very good burst, in particular with the unique. The only problem of Skalelm is White Council counter her a lot, so in 99% of the fight you don't gonna have the full damage of Skalelm, in particular the unique. Even in this meta with a lot of skill that counter Skalelm, I feel very confident to place them on a S tier. Now we have Sunny, the commander that heal the allied troop and also buff them. The buffer commander are not pretty strong on the current meta, but the fact she also have healing place them in the middle between Aragorn and CIRDAN on a B tier. Shadow is a physical damage dealer of the evil faction. Just in terms of physical damage around all the battle is the second best commander of the evil faction, but is the number 1 for clean the White Council stack, and that is great in a meta where everyone have White Council or skill like the one of Falgin for reducing the damage in the early game, so not only deals a lot of damage but also allow all the other commander to deal that. For all this reason I feel pretty confident to place the Shadow over Gandalf the White on a S+ tier. If you are an evil player and you want to know what is the best commander to run in the current meta, the Shadow is the one you're searching for. Talking about the Undying, there's 2 ways for play them. You can play as a damage dealer and that have a decent amount of damage but not incredible, or you can play as a support where you have evasion, you can burn White Council stack and also heal your troop. If you play like that, in my opinion the Undying deserve to be on a A tier on a top of that. If you play as a damage dealer probably is more around B tier. Now we talk about Theoden, a commander that can be your tank if you play a cavalry formation. In particular if you have Swan Knight you can play that as a tank. Of course in the current meta you have Falgin and Frodo and Sam that are better than them. For this reason I feel confident to place Theoden on a C tier. Then we have Thorin, the second mythic commander, go directly on a F tier. In my opinion have no reason for be played cause have no damage, have no buff, have nothing for consider them a good commander. Then we talk about Thranduil, a commander that have a bit of evasion and also a bit of healing for themselves. Is a good commander for be tank of your formation formation, but the fact you synergize only with Elf's troop reduce a lot the effectiveness. For this reason, I'm gonna place Thranduil on a D tier. Then again, 3F commander, we have Tribir that is an F tier 100%, then we have Ugluk that is also an F tier, and we have also Yuktak that is an F tier. And two more commander you don't have to invest are Yusra, absolutely useless, and also Zegrid, completely useless damage dealer commander. And for last, I want to talk you about the Witch King. You can use as a damage dealer focus damage, but is not really relevant, or you can use as a support, and in this case you have a solid commander. The Witch King not only brings CC and also the capability of remove more white cancel stack, but also reduce the statistic of the enemy commanders and also the initiative in the early phase that allow you to stall buff in a combination with Sauron more frequently. For this reason, I consider the Witch King in the top of the A tier in the current meta. It's really strong. So this is my final tier list about all the commander of the game right now in the current meta. For make that, I not only consider the statistic but also the report, the million of report I check during my last 2 seasons. If you check the old tier list of 3-4 months ago, you're gonna see a lot of difference cause we improve a lot the valuation. And like you see, I also consider on my valuation the unique, I consider the synergy and also the counter. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, just smash like on that and also subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Let me know what you think about this tier list in the comment down below. In particular, if you have a different opinion, I wanna see that. Like always, I wanna remember you have an affiliated code with the game that allow you to buy gems from the official site of the game, and if you choose to use my code, the devs gonna recognize me a little commission of what you spend and you're gonna support directly my channel. You're gonna find the link in the first comment and also in the description of every single of my video. Again, thank you for following me and see you in the next. Woo!